Today we're driving the 2023 Ford Maverick Tremor. Been really excited to get behind the wheel of one of these. The Tremor package is available as a $3,000 option for the XLT and Lariat model Ford Mavericks. The one we're in today is an XLT. Pricing on this should be around $33,000 as tested. It can tow 2,000 pounds. It has a 1-inch suspension lift, Falken Wildpeak AT3W tires that are 30 inches in diameter, 235 65 R17s, nice and chunky, tough sidewalls, and they look pretty good. We have 9.4 inches of ground clearance, and the Tremor package is only available in the all-wheel drive 2-liter turbo Ford Maverick, which means you get 250 horsepower, I believe 277 pound-feet of torque. Anyway, it's pretty quick. It has a good amount of acceleration. It says an 8-speed automatic and a 4.5-foot bed. We've done a couple videos on Ford Mavericks already. Let's walk you around this one, show you what it looks like inside and out today. We'll take it for a drive. We did take a Maverick Tremor. It was a Lariat off-roading last week, so we'll be posting that video in a few days and give you guys some context of what this is like in the snow, off-road, through some rougher terrain than what we're going to be driving on in this video, which is mostly going to be a street test. So in this XLT, it's pretty bare bones in here. You get these nice cloth seats with contrast stitching and a nice Tremor logo. And I've got to say, I am a big fan of the Maverick interior. It just looks cool. We get a switchblade key. It is nice to insert a key into an ignition these days with all these push button starts. Digital center display, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. The cool thing about this Tremor is that you can lock it into a 4-wheel drive 50-50 torque split front and rear, and you can also lock that rear differential. It's a very trick torque vectoring limited slip, and it can torque vector up to 100% of the power sent to the rear axle to one wheel or the other. I love the simplicity of this cabin. We get physical controls here for our climate, control your temperature, everything's displayed right here on the screen. 3 auto fan speed settings, USB ports, USB Type A, Type C, and lots of places to store things. Nice grippy rubber bases to everything so it doesn't slide around or make noise. I like the blue plastic in here too. I mean, this is a sharp looking cabin. Let's pop the hood, take a look at this 2-liter turbo. Rated for 20 miles to the gallon in the city, 24 miles to the gallon on the highway. Pretty loud injectors, a little bit unrefined, a little bit clattery, but good power and kind of a fun engine to drive in this Maverick Tremor. We get a slightly different front bumper here with recovery points, which is nice. A little bit more of an aggressive angle to improve approach angle here. Easy fuel capless filler system, takes regular. Decent amount of room on the back seat. Earlier today I tried to fit my rear-facing child seat in here and it actually fit surprisingly well. Get an armrest. You even get some storage underneath these rear seats like you see in a lot of other trucks. That's great. Seated behind myself at 5'10". I fit back here very comfortably. Plenty of room to stretch out my legs underneath the front seat. Good headroom. I have about maybe 3.5, 4 inches above my head. A lot of places to put water bottles. I mean, the storage and the usability of this Tremor, or just the Maverick in general, is pretty awesome. Do we get any extra skid plates in this package? I believe we do. A lot of nice protection under there. Okay, let's hop inside. It's cold. We'll take this for a drive, see how it is on the road. A few different displays here in the center screen. You can customize what is shown. I kind of prefer the calm screen. Speaking of screens, we have our CarPlay, Android Auto. The standard sync system here is pretty bare bones, pretty basic. There are quick access buttons for maps that'll just take you into the CarPlay, Android Auto, whatever your phone connection has. A few settings, but for the most part, the focus is on the phone connection here. It's a little bit of a low contrast screen, not the best quality, but it gets the job done. Here's our reverse camera. We have this rotary shifter that just kind of keeps spinning. Okay, so you can quickly shift between park and drive, which is nice. Parking brake is down here. The ergonomics in this Maverick are really, really well done. Adjustment here for our gauge display brightness. Just, again, more physical buttons and controls. I love that. Very good visibility all the way around. Steering's got a bit of weight to it. Only thing I don't like about this XLT trim is the plastic steering wheel. It just feels kind of cheap. It's cold, a little bit scratchy plastic, not the highest quality materials. But for the price you're paying on this thing, I guess it kind of falls in line. Nice smooth shifts from that 8-speed automatic. No pedal shifters or a way to kind of individually select gears. You do get a low gear mode, which will downshift on decel. So I guess that could be considered a bit of a sport mode. Still letting this Maverick warm up just a little bit. It's pretty much a cold start that we had earlier, so the engine does quiet down a bit as it gets some temperature into it. Ride quality feels pretty good, even off-road over some pretty rough terrain. The suspension soaked up the bumps nicely. A little bit of cabin intrusion over potholed sections, but for the most part, this feels pretty good. Charlie did tell me that compared to his Maverick, that the ride is a little bit softer in this Tremor. I'm sure due to the retuned suspension. All of your inputs feel pretty good. Steering's got a nice weight to it. Again, this feels lightweight, nimble. It's a fun truck to drive. The power from this 2-liter is actually pretty healthy. The two concessions that you're going to see with this Tremor package are, one, fuel economy is not going to be very good compared to the rest of the Maverick lineup, and two, you're going to lose 2,000 pounds of towing capacity. If that is something that's important to you, then definitely something to consider. But otherwise, you're getting a really capable truck off-road. This thing can do all sorts of stuff. I mean, you know, it's, as far as this crossover-based class of soft rotors goes, this is probably one of the most capable options, just down to the all-wheel drive system, that locking rear differential. This thing can get through a lot of gnarly terrain and do it with relative ease. 9.4 inches of ground clearance, that's right up there with the Forester and Outback Wilderness, the Toyota 4Runner. I mean, of course, this doesn't have low range. It's not a body-on-frame vehicle, but it should still get you through a lot. And it has a little bit more ground clearance, actually, than the Ford Bronco Sport. All right, let's get this onto the highway. See how it pulls up to speed here. You can definitely feel that there is a little bit more body motion and less overall mechanical grip with these Falken Wildpeak AT3W tires. They are not meant to carve corners. They still do have pretty good road manners. Reasonably quiet on the highway, given their more aggressive tread pattern. Mostly you're just hearing wind noise here at 75 miles per hour. Standard old school cruise control, easy to use, simple buttons. You got volume controls down here, menu controls over here on the right side. Excellent visibility in the mirrors and the rear view. Everything looks really good around this Maverick. No major blind spots. Tons of adjustment with the seat too. The steering wheel will tilt and telescope also. No issue finding a comfortable seating position this week. How do the brakes feel? No one behind me. Brakes have good bite. This 2-liter has kind of a gruff industrial feel to it. When you put it into an off-road mode, it actually makes a little bit more noise. So if we go into sand mode, turns off traction control, locks us in 4-wheel drive. You can hear there's just a bit of piped-in sound there. Sometimes a bit tedious to cycle through all of these different drive modes. There we go. Get us back into normal mode here. You cannot fully disable traction and stability control in this Maverick, but you can have a little bit of fun with it in sand mode with traction control turned off and the rear diff locked, 4-wheel drive locked in. I just love the size of this truck. It can easily fit in your garage. It gets through tight, tiny sections of trail with ease. It's easy to park. The question is whether you need the Tremor package at all over the standard Maverick Lariat or XLT with all-wheel drive. If you want to go for maximum fuel economy, the hybrid is definitely the way to go. You can get really good gas mileage numbers in that, but it's only available as a front-wheel drive option. That's just how Ford's hybrid setups are. It's this planetary gear set, this eCVT, very similar to what Toyota has in their hybrid models, but it is front-wheel drive only. Nice. I mean, feels pretty good. 60 miles an hour on that entrance ramp is reasonable, and I think stability control is kicking in just a little bit, but for most people's needs, they're not going to be approaching anywhere near the limits of this Maverick Tremor on the street. These tires do well in the wet, decent grip of the dry, and the off-road they really have a lot of capability as well as strength to take on rocks, sharp edges. This is definitely a good all-terrain tire in the sea of options in this sizing. While we're just cruising here on the highway, let's go in and do a quick sound system test. Sound system isn't great in this XLT. I'm sure in the Lariat you get a nice improvement with the B&O system, but not a lot of bass. Decently clear in the higher registers, but yeah, I mean, it kind of sounds like a base model sound system as you would expect in this lower trim XLT. It is an extra windy day today here in Southeast Michigan, so we're getting a little bit more wind noise than we would normally on the highway. I think there's just a general lack of sound deadening in this cabin. Not as loud as a Bronco in here, but it's livable. I think, again, it's hard to have too many complaints about this Maverick just because of how affordable it is and how much value it offers. I like these trucks. I think they're fun. They're just kind of cool, plucky underdogs that, I don't know, they really have grown on me. I also like the Bronco Sport too. I know it's not as popular of an option. They probably should have called it something else, but these two vehicles kind of have a similar vibe to them. And again, this Maverick Tremor, probably one of the options that I would consider if I were looking for a small truck that could do some off-road duty. And that's not going to do rock crawling, but it'll get through some pretty gnarly terrain with relative ease. And, for about half the price of a new Bronco Badlands Sasquatch or something, this is pretty decent. It's kind of quick. All right, guys. Well, those are my thoughts on the new 2023 Ford Maverick Tremor in XLT trim. About $34,000 as tested. I would be tempted to move up to a Lariat in one of these trucks, but I think as a bare bones option, and if you don't mind the plastic steering wheel, you could always change that. You could always upgrade it at the dealer, or maybe it's somewhere on the options list. This is a pretty darn good buy, and this week it's been a fun and enjoyable package to live with. All right, guys, that'll be it for this one. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the off-road drive coming soon. Until then, we will see you guys in the next video. Take care.